Step into the paranormal with Ernie Atwell and David Seiler, brought to you by Paranormal Inc., right here on WLFE DB Radio.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 38 of Step Into the Paranormal.
Happy Sunday and happy, I was ready to say Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Turkey Day. I don't know.
Happy Valentine's
Day.
You see who I get to spend mine with?
Huh?
Hope everybody's doing well and had enough candy, and hope everybody treated their sweeties properly.
Yeah. This day went by quick, though. I don't know why.
I know. It's just miserable weather that I don't know where you all are watching from, but we've had the most miserable
weather here. Yeah.
I went outside last night. I had to get something out of one of my vehicles, and it was literally frozen shut.
Oh, I know.
I couldn't get the doors open.
It was just bad out. Yeah. So hopefully y'all are safe. Thank you for joining us this wonderful evening.
We have a fun show lined up tonight.
We have a very special
You're going to enjoy our guest for this evening. She's a lot of fun.
The amazing, the gorgeous, the awesomeness, Kristi Grissom.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. How you doing, Kristi?
Well, I'm a little under the weather, but you know what? With the weather outside the way it is, it's to be expected, I guess.
It's that time of year.
Yes, it is.
You know, it is. It's just so once the holidays are over and that period between the first of the year and the spring,
right?
It's just so miserable.
Yeah, all the colds, the flus, the COVIDs,
and I'm a night person. You know what I mean? So it's like it's always dark. You know, I can't wait for the summer so I can get out there and work on my tan.
You Italian stud, you.
Gotta have a tan, man. You should put one. You got enough space right in the studio here. You could put a tanning bed.
I agree.
That's a feather, because I'm not going to give him a bird. We got that one G-rated, didn't we?
Kristi, I got so many things I want to ask you. I don't know where to start. So
first of all, I love that background.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that.
Yeah. Hold up your cup. I saw it before we started, but that's an awesome
sugar skull. I love it.
I actually have on one of my displays. I actually have one of those skulls that look just like that. I don't know what it's made out of, but it almost looks like it's made out of glass.
Right. They're very popular. You can find the sugar skulls all over anything.
Kristi, I guess we can start this interview by just asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the paranormal.
Well, right now I live in North Carolina. I'm originally from Texas. Joined the military, was in Florida for 16 years, which I miss Florida. I guess the paranormal started really young. My first encounter, I was 5.
Oh, wow.
A spirit just walked right beside me in my grandmother's house when I was laying in the fold-out couch bed. And I went into the bedroom, and it didn't scare me. I knew that it wasn't anybody that was in the house. I knew it wasn't normal, but it's not something we talked about in our home. Growing up Baptist with my father was a deacon, so that was kind of, as the years progressed, things happened. I realized that wasn't something that I could discuss with family. So
now, if you don't mind me asking, technical difficulties with our tech guy here.
Sorry.
If you don't mind me asking, Kristi.
Yes.
Back then, you know, when you had that first experience, that you know of, did anyone else in the house experience anything, or was it just you, or what?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't remember asking anybody if anything was abnormal. No, I do know later on, probably my teenage years, when I went to go visit my grandmother, I would ask little bits and pieces about questions about who might have lived there previously, but she would just blow me off. So I was never able to kind of investigate in it like I would today.
Right.
Hey, I got to give a quick shout out. John McGinnis just popped up and said, "What's up to everyone?" John is our cameraman, and he is from Murder Films. Big thumbs up to John.
Hi, John.
He actually just shot a commercial for Tony DeVille a couple weeks ago. So
he
John
is an amazing,
John is a good
cameraman.
dude. And hey, check this out, Kristi. I don't mean to cut you off, but
that's fine.
due to age difficulties, Dave and I sometimes have a hard time remembering what we want to say to each other.
You do you, Ernie.
We got the collaboration event coming up first week of June with New Jersey Paranormal Investigations at Fort Mifflin. John will be there filming.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So thank you, John. Thank you, Barry, and the rest of the crew up in New Jersey. So, Kristi, was this when you had your first experience at 5? Was this like an ongoing thing, or did it stop until you hit your teenage years?
It was kind of hit or miss. It would go on. I went through stages of what they call sleep paralysis. I know there's scientific things behind it, which I do believe in some cases it is more scientific, but I think in my case it wasn't, because I've been able to communicate with spirits more in dream state. They come to me when I'm sleeping. So I think the sleep paralysis was like a thing that happened right before that started happening. But there would be years that nothing would happen. And looking back, it was when things of trauma had happened. I lost my brother when I was 13, and right around that time period, everything stopped. Other than he did visit me once, but I'm putting things together that it makes me feel like if you're in a state of trauma or something that is really stressing you out in life, sometimes I think it might back off. I don't really know why, but in my situation, it seems like that's how it happens.
How did you receive a sign or a visitation from your brother?
I was in the bathroom washing my face. It was probably just 2 or 3 days after he passed, and I came up and I had the towel over my face, and I felt a hand just rest on my shoulder. It was definitely hard enough to know, oh, somebody's, it's mom or something like that. But before I pulled the towel off, I was like, it's John Todd. And when I pulled the towel away, there's nobody there. But I instantly, I knew it was him.
Well, the theory behind the whole, I mean, I could go on for days talking about sleep paralysis and dreams and visitations, but a big theory with the whole aspect of dreams is, like, for people like us that investigate this on a regular basis, even though we're used to this and like things don't scare us like would your average person, because we're out there hoping to find evidence.
Exactly.
But a lot of times I know, and I can go right along with what you're saying, because being involved in this for decades upon decades, I know that when my grandfather had passed away, the closest person that ever was to me, as bad as I wanted to know he was okay, was as much as I didn't want to see him. And I know that sounds horrible, but it was something inside that told me if he visits me and I physically see him, that it would scare the hell out of me, So I remember I used to often pray that, could God please give me a sign that just to let me know he's okay.
Right.
And during a dream one night, I did receive a sign. And now, was it a sign or was it just a dream? I have no idea.
Conscious coming through.
The thing is, whether it was just a dream or it actually was a sign of his well-being, it brought peace to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it could have just been my own subconscious putting my mind at ease.
Helping you through.
But either way, you
Yeah,
know,
there's been many things that I've read. Of course, we can't really confirm or, prove or disprove a lot of this stuff, but
Mhm.
I believe that when somebody passes, before they go out to wherever they're going to go, whether you believe in reincarnation or heaven and, all of
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
I believe that when the person passes, they want to check up on their family members and see that they're okay and make
Mhm.
sure that they're okay before they pass. Just like when some spirits decide to stay in this realm, it's because they have unfinished business or, well, various other things that they could stay
Right.
here for.
Right.
But those that know that they're passing into the light or they're going to be reincarnated, I think they do visit their family, their loved ones, the ones that are close to them, just to make sure that they're okay before they pass on to wherever they're going.
Right. And see, I believe a lot along those lines that, when someone, based on what your beliefs are, when you're alive,
Right.
um, I believe that when someone passes away, they cross over into the light. It might not be immediately.
Right.
I feel that some people may have a hard time for whatever reason or whatever they have unfinished. They might not be able to find a light right away. However, once they do cross over, I do feel that they can come back. And for that specific reason, whether it's a message, unfinished business,
Right.
or they just miss you. They just want that, the same as we want to know they're okay over there. They want to know we're still
Right.
okay over here. You know what I mean? So it all, I guess it all stems down to what you believe in, from the more non-spiritual side and scientific side. People just feel that, when our physical body expires, where does our energy go? It could just linger. It could be,
Right.
bouncing around. And when we're out investigating, that's what we detect,
Well,
to
because
the
our
good.
realm is, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm
No,
walking over you. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say to the non-spiritual folk that's involved in the paranormal, you know, um, when we die, our energy escapes. To the spiritual believers, that same energy is what we refer to as our soul. So our soul escapes. So I mean, it's one and the same. It's just how you look at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm sure when I look at Dave, I see differently of him than other people. But we'll
I don't know whether to be a insulter or
Well, I think he means it well.
I do. I have nothing good but good to say about Mr. Seiler. What's up, Dave Haney from Keystone State Paranormal, one of our best buddies a little north of us.
Yeah.
I see what you guys got going on, and I spoke to Pam, I think it was yesterday, day before. I wish you guys all the best.
Yeah, no doubt.
Keep in touch, and we'll be up that way soon.
Most definitely.
But Kristi, let's get to the funny stuff. Tell us about your venture from a few weeks ago that we were just talking about off air.
Oh, that one.
Damn, just throwing the bus.
Yeah, the Harmony Hall. Yeah, we went to go do a documentary in Kingston, North Carolina, at a place called Harmony Hall, and it dates back to the 18th century. Um, I ended up doing a solo in a school. And it was like a little small school that they maybe have, 20, 30 children from ages or first to seventh grade. That was really interesting, but the best part was when we got back in and we were done. Most of the investigators lived within 2 to 3 hours of the location, and I was like 6 hours away. So I elected to stay until the sun came up. So, or try to get some sleep actually. Well, every time I'd lay down, it kept going in my head of everything that we had gotten the previous 8 hours that we were there. and I would lay down and I would feel like somebody was like standing right in front of my face. And if I opened my eyes, I was going to see something. So I couldn't sleep. So I ended up messaging you because I saw you were online. I'm like, this place is creepy. It's really creepy. And yeah. And then you sent me that picture of the big old eyes. You sent me something that just freaked me out. And I'm like, that's not helping, Ernie. That's not helping.
She messaged me like about some activity going on. And, I mean, I've been in that situation where I've been alone trying to stay somewhere by myself. And trust me, I know the anxiety. And, I was trying to reassure her, like, it's nothing they're going to hurt you. And,
creepy pictures.
try to, communicate with it or whatever. And be sure that when you lay down to try to get some sleep, to check underneath the bed. That's kind of where it all went off.
I was actually on a couch in between two of those old pictures, the ones that you move and the eyes follow you, and one of them didn't like me. The spirit from stuff that evidence that we got, and he didn't like me, but for whatever reason, I don't know. But every time I'd open my eyes, I'd see those pictures. And I'm like, I am not sleeping. And it wasn't that I was scared. It was just a little unnerving. I think I got more scared when
whether you like it or not.
When I tell you, I got a quick funny story. When I was a young teen, my church and school were connected. And my grandfather and uncle were retired. So they ran the maintenance department. So in the summer, they hired me as like help, to prepare for the next school year. So I would drive around on a tractor and cut the grass, and we'd go up in the old school building and, do stuff to prepare for the new school year. Well, for those of you that happen maybe Catholic or know a little bit about the religion, there's certain pictures, old pictures, big old pictures, and it's supposed to be not that the eyes physically move, but you get that sensation that they follow you. And we had one of those pictures in our church. It was the Blessed Mother Mary. And we had to send it out for repairs. So my uncle had it sent out for repairs, and we get the picture back. And it's so funny because I guess you would have to know my uncle, but for some reason he was terrified. So he says, "Hey, Ernie, you got to help me hang this picture back up." And I'm like, "All right, no problem." He's like, and I was really little. I was always small as a child. So he's like, "I'm going to hold the ladder and I'll be underneath. Just be very careful. I'm going to hand a picture up to you." Well, then it occurred to me what picture this was. And I'm like, oh,
oh no.
So I'm like, you have to picture, I don't know what I was, 15, 16 maybe. And I'm up on this ladder and I'm trying to hang it in the church, but I'm trying not to look at it.
Because the face is like right there in front of you, isn't it? It's like
nothing to be scared of. And I know this must sound like blasphemy, but I'm hanging this photo up and I'm looking like this, and my uncle's down there like a little to the right, and I'm trying to go without looking. And it was like an episode off of like some kind of comedy
Seinfeld
show.
Or something.
But we wound up getting the photo hung up, and then when we got down, we tested it out. We were 20 feet away and going like this, looking at the eyes and walking.
I wouldn't be so paranoid if everybody stopped watching me.
I don't understand what it is, because to me, and you don't even have to be a religious person, but being in a church or wherever, I mean, that's supposed to be like the safe place, the
right.
safe. But sometimes, man, it can really creep you out, because
factor.
I know we used to go into the church like 2, 3 in the morning, and we would have work we would have to do. And when we would unlock and actually go in the church part of the building, all the light that you would see were the red candles. You know what I mean? And just flickering and glimmering, and it just, I tell you what, man, it was like I was always waiting for something to jump out at me. It's crazy.
Now,
but
the church that I went to religiously every Sunday, Wednesday, the Baptist church. It was the biggest church in our town. And I remember it was 3 stories. I remember, my dad telling me to go pick something up from location, blah, blah, blah. And I would get creeped out walking around the corners
Yeah.
and it being kind of dark. And, I never thought about that till you just brought that up. But yeah, I remember feeling the same way. It was a little creepy.
And I got it. This wasn't this was just within the past 10 years. For a decade of my career, I was in the canine unit.
And it was a rough job. rough.
And on the Maryland DC line is just a huge church. And it's not Catholic. I forget what religion, but it's a big, beautiful.
It looks like a castle.
Big, beautiful church.
It's actually Mormon.
So no. You're talking about the one out on the highway. No.
Okay,
not that.
the other one. Okay,
yeah, this is like a neighborhood. But anyhow, I was working part-time one night at a fast food place where we just basically sit in the parking lot. So I was getting ready to get off and go home. It was like 1:30 in the morning. Well, the shift that was working that night received an alarm call from this church. So they get there and they're like, hey, we got an open door. And I'm like, oh, great. So I'm listening up and they say, hey, do we have any canine units on the air? So I said, I answered up. I said, I'm getting ready to clear part-time. I can start that way. I was only like 2 miles away. So I respond over and they tell me, hey, we got an unsecured door. It's not broken in. It's just unlocked. I said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. Get my dog out. I'm not going to cut him loose, but I'll keep him on a long line and I'll go in. I'll search the church. So when you go in, there was just classrooms and upstairs and downstairs and basement. And like in the center was the actual church. Right. So I clear everything else. So I'm in the back of the church. All the pews are lined up and it kind of goes down, like on a slight slope. Now, once again, the only illumination that I had was the flickering candles. So what I'm doing is I have my dog about 10 feet in front of me and we're walking along and he's kind of zigzagging in and out of the chairs and we're doing a nice search pattern. As I get halfway down, this is all I see is a person sitting like this in the center of the church.
No way.
And I felt my heart drop. I was like, I kind of got on the radio and I'm like, hey, I got somebody in here. Somebody come in here with. What it was a homeless lady got into the church and she was just sitting there. But man, you talk about creepy.
Wow.
So I told him, I was like, all right, everything's good. I'll see you guys. I'm going home. But it was creepy, man. I don't understand what it is with churches sometimes.
Well, I can't explain that one for you, but I think a lot of people will agree with that. So
what I know this is a very broad question, but what is your most memorable paranormal experience? Whether it was before you started investigating or after, or
I was in college and I was in a sorority and a couple of my sorority sisters and a couple of guys from a fraternity had found out about an old abandoned house about 10 miles out from Lubbock, Texas. Oh. And we decided, of course, to go out there and we'd probably been drinking a little bit, but
maybe a little, yeah.
Maybe just a little. And it was a 2-story house and there was a basement. But it wasn't like a regular, like drop down basement. It was kind of like a hole. And then, but there was no lights. And of course, nobody would do it. And I'm like, I'll go down there, I'll go check it out. And they lowered me down in there and I was walking towards.
You
had to be lowered into it.
Yeah, that's a good way to check in but not check out.
For those watching tonight's episode,
don't try this.
Strike number 1: if you have to be lowered into somewhere, you're think twice about it.
Yeah, don't do it. This is coming from the girl last weekend at Bobby Mackey's was down in the hole.
Oh, wow.
But they lower me down in there and I'm walking and it's pitch black. I couldn't see anything. And I know this is probably going to sound really crazy, but this huge red flaming, it looked like what I call as an angel of death. That was just how I termed it. But it was like something that came flying towards me that was red and was illuminated and was, I mean, arm spread length.
Wow.
Just
I would have
flying.
ran at the wall. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like, where could it have gone? Where did it come from? I'm not tripping on, and I saw it.
Never had. I would have gone straight up that wall. Wouldn't have thought, bye.
Yeah, well, I did. I yelled and I said, "Get me out of here. Get me out of here now." And I got out and I didn't tell them what I saw because I knew nobody would. What it felt like to me was something warning me to get out because there might have been something else down there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
whatever it was trying to scare me, and it did. It definitely did, and I got out and never been back since.
We have to give a shout out. Festival of the Unexplained, all the way over in the United Kingdom. They say good morning, and they are watching. So,
And also,
hello to our United Kingdom friends.
the owner of my company is on. Tony Hatzageorgilus. That's who's talking about the 1,000,000 books right there.
I'll
give him a shout out.
Yeah, I'll just say what's up, Tony, because I'm not going to butcher that last name.
Best guy you'll ever meet. He's a Greek guy, primo guy, best person on the planet to even talk to. I mean, he's a ball of energy. I want to take him on a ghost hunt because the energy he produces would just draw things in. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, and good energy draws things. A lot of people think that, if you, the more times I have found that when you're having fun and you positive energy, sometimes you will get more experience than you will if you're all just, stern and.
Alvin Mansion is infamous for that.
My take on that is, a lot of the places where they host, frequent paranormal events and investigations, and they house what I like to call resident spirits, the locations where you kind of know who was there. I find that if you go in and whatever the event is you're doing, if you make the spirits there just part of the festivities, as if they were, physically there with you, you're going to get a better response, and your energy level is different than just going in,
absolutely
asking the same old questions, hoping for a response.
Who are you? What'd you do? How'd you die? No. I actually had one of our investigations because I told the people, look, they have all these public hears and they always hear the same thing over and over and over again. Ask something different, make them laugh, use some energy. And the people in the circle were asking, can you tell me your name? Can you tell me how you died?
Do you know you're dead?
Yeah. And there's someone who goes, is Dave full of bullshit? And then literally everybody started laughing at the same time.
And
all the equipment went off.
I remember that.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
That was hysterical.
There's a place in Tennessee that I frequent. It's called the Thomas House, and we pretty much know what's there and what's going on. And they have a room. It's called the Seance Room, which actually they never had the seances there. They did it in another room, but that's what they call it. But we go in there, we bring cards, we bring dice, we bring those little bottles of Jack Daniel because one of the soldiers in there likes his bourbon or whiskey and whatnot. And we go in there and play music from the era of what the spirits are in there. We will get 4 and 5 different meters going off at once. That to me solidifies that there's something there and they're having a good time. And then you get an EVP on top of that. That just, and they were having a great time. And everybody was having a great time. Now, it doesn't always work that way, but for the most part, they just want to have fun too. So
right. We had
that place.
We had a question pop up. How often do spirits tell their names when people ask? That can be kind of tricky because we do recover a lot of names. I mean, based on what type of investigation it is and
public or private.
Yeah, and whether they want to be revealed.
Right.
Right.
For example, the one we had in York that came to us as a demonic case, which in reality wasn't. It was the revelation of the prior owner's name that broke the case wide open for us.
Yeah, and
Wow.
got a direct MVP that actually through a spirit box that gave a previous owner's name.
Right, that we had no knowledge of.
And the owner of the house who had called us in for a demonic presence shot out of the door. We're like, what just happened? And he comes back with the previous deed going, dude, check it out.
Yeah, so he, by recovering that name, allowed us to solve the case for the guy and figure out.
He was trying to help y'all out to get that.
Absolutely. And we, by what he said, it turned out that his roommate was causing all the demonic stuff, and he kicked her to the curb, and it all stopped.
Now, I tell you what is very interesting, and it happened in that case that Dave was just talking about. Back in 2011, I was investigating the Red Mill Inn way up in New Jersey. And it's an old abandoned mining town. And I got a EVP. It was a first and last name. Like I asked who it was I was communicating with or whatever. And I got a response of Jim Clark. And I was like, wow, it's just kind of odd sometimes when you get a first and last name.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was on pure EVP. I mean, I was just sitting in a gift shop a general store. I was sitting in a general store. I was running just a voice recorder. That's all I was running. Nice. And of course we had cameras set up, and I was just talking, and I believe I had made contact. So I asked if he would identify himself, and I actually got the name Jim Clark. Wow. So that was actually the first time that I can remember getting both first and last name on a EVP.
A lot of times I think they may not even be giving you their name. They may give you what you want to hear. But when you go back to the same locations over and over and you keep getting the same name, that's usually a pretty good indication that it is, the same person or giving you the same name. So
we have a question that says, how can spirits sound like somebody else when somebody's voice talking to you when you're sleeping?
That's kind of tricky. Yeah. I mean, I guess that could go along with the whole doppelganger thing, maybe. It's funny. Someone was chatting me up last night about activity, and she said that while she wasn't home, her child, who's somewhat young,
would call the name.
Claims that she saw her mother in the house when she wasn't there. She clearly wasn't there. So I would imagine that the voice would be the same way. You know what I mean?
What is your take on it, Kristi?
Well, I think spirits can mimic almost anything. They can. Depends on. I think some of the spirits have different levels of what they can and can't do. However long they've been in the spirit world, they probably pick up new things. But I think they can mimic voices. They can present themselves as something scary that might frighten you or something that you recognize. They can manipulate things. The voices may be something that you might be comfortable with that may not scare you. So to hear the voice of somebody that you know may be more comforting to you.
And so you have to keep in mind, I mean, that's an awesome question, but are we talking about someone that's still alive or someone that's passed?
Right. Well, that goes into the doppelganger thing, you know.
The whole, and I want your opinion on this, Kristi. Do you think along the lines of like a spirit visitation?
Right.
Do you think that you can be visited by someone's spirit that hasn't passed away yet?
Yes. Yep. Definitely.
Okay. Absolutely. Astral projection. Yes.
Yeah. Definitely. Because I mean, you think about it, twins. One might feel something that the other one has felt. Now, that may not be, an actual spirit, but it just goes to show that how energies can go from one place to another, extreme, dealing, you know, I'm pagan and deal with manifesting things and energies and whatnot. So to manifest an energy and send it out into the universe, it can go to other people. That's my belief. And as far as the actual spirit, I would think it would be more during REM state of sleep. Um, that would be my best guess on that.
So let me ask you this. Suppose someone has a vision of someone and they don't realize it's a vision. They honestly think that person is there. The person that is being seen, do you feel that they're aware that someone else is seeing their energy or their soul or however you categorize it? The person that you get what I'm saying?
I think so.
Like if, for example, I move far, far away and
Right.
suddenly Dave thinks I appeared in his hallway.
Well, it's like a mother's intuition.
It could be.
Not-
It could
as
be
me
a residual.
as me being alive, do I know that Dave's seeing me or not?
That's a really good question. I would probably have to ponder on that a little more than what we have time for tonight. But I think that a person can manifest visions and see things. That they want to see in their mind. I don't think per se that you might be aware of it unless you were trying to project that image. If you were trying to do it, then it's possible it could. But if you're not aware of it and Dave just happens to round the corner and he sees you, okay, it could be a residual part of you, your energy that's still there. B, Dave might need to go get his head checked from a doctor.
I've been suggesting that for years now, but
Yeah, Holly agrees. Oh my God.
But there's that thing called pareidolia where you want to see something. People look for something that your mind can wrap you can wrap your head around. So
Right.
I don't know. That's going to be one for my research there, Ernie. Thanks.
possibilities are endless.
Endless.
You're going to have to read my book when it comes out because I wrote a chapter on a prophetic vision that my grandmother had an occurrence like that where she was visited. So it's very intriguing.
I've had several of those happen, and sometimes they're very scary. And then sometimes when you have them and it doesn't quite happen, it's almost like an axe over your neck, feeling like, when is it going to happen? And there's not a daggum thing you can do about it sometimes.
Right.
That's scary. That is scary.
Because I asked you that question. What was your most memorable experience? What's yours, Dave?
Damn near breaking your nose, getting scared. I did.
That's the most memorable all the places we've been and all the things we've done.
The full blown apparition.
That would be like a blooper type thing, not a.
We had a full blown apparition over at a place called the Center for Feebly Minded Women that we actually got on film. But the most memorable moment, we were at Haldeman Mansion in a room. We were in a circle with a whole bunch of people. I kept hearing stuff behind me, and I've told the story on air a couple times. And I kept hearing it, turning around with a flashlight. Finally, I turned around, and it sounded like a truck hit the wall. It shook the house. My reaction was fight or flight. I went that way quick.
Right.
Problem is, Ernie had time to go, and I hit him right in the beak. In my foot. I damn near knocked him out. So, I tell people, look, rule number 1, if you hear something, say something. Rule number 2, don't run.
Right.
And rule number 3 is, unless your name is Dave, get the hell out of my way.
Yeah. Definitely don't run, because that ends up causing more injuries than anything. So
yeah, well, I mean, it happened like right here next to me. I mean, it sounded like something literally hit a wall so hard, like a truck hitting it.
Wow.
And with the people, when we played the film back, people were saying that they thought maybe like somebody stomped or something. We tried to recreate it. It's solid plaster wall with the wood behind it and plaster over it. So you hit it and it's solid. I mean, it's just like that. This was a boom and it shook the whole place.
To me, it felt like it come through the floor.
Yeah, it was the walls right there.
Yeah. What Kristi, to date, what do you feel is your most memorable piece of evidence that you've gathered?
As far as personal experiences or actually caught on something?
Either or.
I was at the Titanic Museum in Branson.
Ooh,
I was there with Ghost Hunt Weekends, and we had gone up. The whole thing is like a full scale. The staircase and everything is done exactly like.
Awesome. I am so jealous of you right now.
It looks exactly the way it did on the original ship. And when we went up, when we went up to the staircase, and I was rounding the second floor, I turned a corner, and there was a full. No, I don't want to say a full body apparition, but it was a full shadow figure right in front of me. And when I turned to come around and fight or flight thing, my friend Lori was standing there. She had a camera, but her face is going.
All right.
She saw it, and I'm like, there's something back there. And she's like, it's right behind you. And I'm like, oh,
that's a Scooby-Doo moment.
Yeah, because I was about to run through her, and she's trying to capture it. And then everybody from the crew, Chris and Mike and all of them, they're like, shh. And I'm like, no, it's over here.
So you know that several of the stuff in that area is from the actual Titanic.
Yes.
There's a window that I watched a whole documentary on the thing. I'm so jealous. Outside those windows, it would be where the captain's wheel is.
Yes.
There are several things out there as well. And people have said to seen things out there as well.
We actually, when we were on the deck where it has the temperature that was the same temperature, we were communicating with we're talking dead on response. The name, I can't remember the name now, but he was showing me a name, just for namesake, I'm going to say James. But he kept putting things in my head, and I would say it aloud, and 2 or 3 different meters would go off. You'd have a REM pod go off. You would have a Mel meter go off. Every single question that we asked, it would respond to it. This went on for a good 30, 35 minutes, and we had it narrowed down to he was somebody that was in the bottom that was doing the coal. And he decided to go down with the ship, and he left behind, I think, 3 daughters and a wife. And it was just crazy. And we ended up finding out that there was a gentleman with that name that was actually, he was on the, he wasn't first class, he was second class, but he was an African-American man that decided to go down and help do the coal, and he went down with the ship. So he's actually they know who he is, but we didn't have any clue. We had no idea, but it was just response after response after response. And I mean, I'm getting chills right now. It was Titanic, definitely crazy. It was marvelous.
We got to hook that up. So yeah. I'm so jealous of you because I watched like a 4-hour documentary on that, of how they built the museum and all that and everything that's in it. And I mean, that place just gave me goosebumps.
It's crazy with all the stuff they have there.
It's filled with the artifacts.
The artifacts, everything that they brought up that they could salvage.
But the thing of it is we asked them if they were okay there. And the response is that they wanted to stay. They were happy there because the objects are there. They're connected to those objects, and they just wanted to be remembered.
Yeah, and plus you have to figure. I mean, they didn't die in vain. Now their story's getting out.
Yep.
You know, and,
They just want their story to be told and not to be forgotten.
right.
And those were the questions we were asking. Do you want to be memorialized? No, they didn't want that. They just wanted to be remembered and that they were fine where they're at. And so it's kind of a good story.
That's cool. That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary on that a couple weeks ago where even if they was something about a radio operator that that on another ship to turn the radio off, and if they would have been on, they could have quote made it, but then they came and said that they wouldn't have because their navigation was off. The Titanic was here, and they were actually up here or something like that. So yeah, so I love it. So I'm so jealous.
Very interesting. What do you have coming up in the near future?
Let's see, this weekend I'm going to the Exchange. It's a Civil War museum in Gordonsville, North Carolina, and then the Conjuring House.
Oh, wow.
The first part of March. Yeah.
Ooh, giddy.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be in Ohio right now, or West Virginia, doing the Mothman investigation, but this little...
Well, be glad because it's damn cold here right now.
I know, and me having a little bit of the sniffles, I don't need to be up there, but I'm a little jealous.
That Conjuring House ought to be nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I'm excited about that one. Now it's March 5th, and it's probably still going to be cold.
Have you been there yet?
No, I've never been, so this will be my first time.
Nice.
We have a couple places that we haven't been yet. We're getting
ready to go.
Well, we're supposed to be taking care of
the one
final plans tonight, but
but you came late, so we're going to be going to Kansas on
Iowa.
Iowa. I'm sorry. I'm thinking
Same difference.
We're going west, young man.
Going that way or whatever. Let's go that way.
He's in charge of organizing travel. Oh,
that's
Lord,
why I wanted him here early so I could kind of but yeah, so we're going to Melbourne Manor. Hey, I remember that.
Oh, good one.
We are doing Tori Smith from the Paranormal Help Desk has put together a paranormal relief project, and we've kind of on board with her as the IT director and in charge of a whole bunch of stuff. But we're going out there to do our investigation with them, and so awesome. We are really excited. But we've put together how many venues are we up to now?
Well, total?
Yeah, I think 30.
No, man,
40?
It's a lot.
We've got a whole bunch of venues that are putting they're opening up to the first responders who doctors, nurses, police officers, firemen, ambulance, paramedic, anybody who's a first responder on the front lines, free paranormal investigation, and you bring a friend.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's
now I'm an ex-firefighter, so do I count?
Yeah.
Well, the purpose of the event is for the people that's worked through the pandemic.
Yeah, through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you work during the pandemic, yes.
But we got a lot of locations, and it's going to be everywhere is going to be investigated simultaneously.
Yep. Hinsdale House is in it.
Yeah, we'll be at the headquarters at Malvern with Tori Smith and Josh from G Crew. He's the owner of the house.
Right.
But
I just watched the Hinsdale thing with Johnny Hauser when he was in the Hins. No, it was Nick Groff.
Nick Groff.
I just watched that the other night, and
you can tell what channel I live on travel.
But actually, when we get into Iowa, we're getting up there a little bit early. We're going to try to make it to the Villisca Axe Murder House, like the night before the
Thursday
event.
night.
Yeah, that's the one that I saw Johnny in. That was a good one.
Yeah,
that was good.
We'll get lots of video and lots of photos to have some fun with.
See, I would like to do a solo there. That I like doing solo investigations.
That is crazy. I am 6'6". I am 350 pounds. I don't do solo.
I don't know, because I remember when because I had been friends with Dave for a while before we worked together in the paranormal. And before we had started Paranormal Inc., I met Dave and some of his friends, and we went on an investigation at a mansion. And if you remember, you did a solo up in the attic by yourself.
Well, but no, y'all were still there. I'm talking about, no, I ain't going there all by myself.
Yeah.
I actually went up there. There's a really creepy attic at Haldeman. And he's like, well, who'd like to go up there solo? I'm like, all right, I'll go. And I went up there and I started asking questions. And I had a recorder going thinking I'm getting responses. I got absolutely nothing. But he had an Ovilus going downstairs and he was getting the answers.
Wow. Well, see,
And I
when we
wrote
were
down-
at the Harmony Hall, I ended up, there was a gentleman that had committed suicide in his office, and they put me up there. I was blindfolded, hands tied behind my back. They set me on the floor. Everybody left the house. And I just wanted to be as vulnerable as I possibly could just to see what would happen. And I was, it's intimidating. I wasn't really afraid, but yeah, it takes a lot of.
I have some breaking news.
Uh-oh.
For those that will be in attendance at Paranormal Inc.'s next public investigation, we will have Dave tied up, blindfolded, and isolated in a room by himself. Thank you for the idea, Kristi.
You're most welcome, Ernie. You can do it. You can do it. I have faith in you. Just make sure you bring some Depends.
We were at a Halloween party at Haldeman, and this young lady, she won basically. She pulled a thing out of the hat and said, "You must remain alone for 5 minutes, blindfolded, and whatever it was, and you win." I think it was like $20 or $50, whatever it was. And she's like, "Okay." So I took her downstairs to the basement, and I don't know if have you ever been under Haldeman in the basement?
No, I haven't.
Okay. There's a muddy basement that is like really enclosed, and it feels like there's pressure on you. I love it. So I put her in the chair. I put in front of her, like just wrapped her hands and put a blindfold on her and went, "Okay, I'm leaving," and put earmuffs on her. I didn't leave. But she's like, "Are you still there?" Oh my God, he really let. I mean, oh my God, this poor girl. And it turned out we didn't know at the time, but she was only 16.
Oh no.
So I'm down there. Poor thing is like in
Poor
tears.
child.
And I finally just screamed, "I'm here!" And she's like, "Ah!" So and we found out later on her age. But if I knew her age, I wouldn't have put her through that poor thing.
Well, it's not for everybody. I mean, because you go through that fight or flight thing. So if you're, and if you're tied up, there's really no fighting or flighting.
She broke down in tears. She's had her. Oh my God, I traumatized the poor child. So. But she wanted $20 or $50, whatever it was. So Laura gave it to her. That was great. She's like, "Did I win money?" I'm like, "Yep, you won money. Let's go."
So you were 30 seconds too short.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I lasted 45 minutes. I lasted 45 before I said, "Hey."
Yeah.
I was watching a Destination Fear the other day, and they put
I love that show.
I love that show. But they put
too.
the girl down in a place that they called the dungeon.
Yeah.
Without a radio, without a way to call for help, and locked the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, heck no. No.
I know what you went through, Kristi, because I'm not going to give the whole story away, but like 1987, we visited a place and had a seance, and everyone left, and I remained in the house by myself the entire night. And I know you don't realize the torture that your own mind
puts you through.
Yes.
Can put you through. And this was like, what, 34 years ago or whatever, before we really had the knowledge that we have now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's
And
right.
The human psyche can just be its own little torture device.
when I got home the following afternoon, I was just so mentally
Drained.
done
Yeah.
and it's crazy.
It
But
is.
Kristi, our hour is just about up already.
So tell people how they can get in touch with you and find you and do things with you.
Oh, do things with me. Well, I work with Ghost Hunt Weekends. I'm a crew member for there. So if y'all ever want to do some ghost hunting with them, let me know. I'm also Our Haunted Lives is my group here in North Carolina. We also have a talk show coming up with PARAFlixx that's going to be started at the end of March. Really excited about that. So Our Haunted Lives is on any platform, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, which I'm not on that yet. I don't know how to finagle all that. But if anybody wants to email me with anything, it's KristiParanormal@gmail.com, and it's KRISTI. People spell it all different kinds of ways. So
I have a good idea. We're going to make you famous.
make me famous.
You're going to do another solo investigation, but we'll have a camera set up and stream it through our show. That way we can watch you periodically throughout the night.
I'll do it.
What do you think? Don't that sound fun?
I'll do it.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, we can do that. As long as we got internet there, I can put a camera anywhere you want.
Place and the time. And
That would be fun.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
channel.
We would do that for Dave, but all you'd see is Dave constantly running back and forth. You might get motion sickness if we set a camera on.
Just put some meters around me and I'll be blindfold. Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank you so much for spending Valentine's Day with us. It means a lot to us.
You're the best dates I've had in many years for Valentine's Day.
I appreciate that. And everybody, in 2 weeks, we will have psychic medium and paranormal investigator Carolina Ramirez from the West Coast will be joining us live. It's going to be a very special interview, so you definitely want to check this out. I'm not going to give anything away. It's going to be amazing. Kristi, thank you. We love you so much. And as always,
I'm very honored to be on your show. I really am.
I'm glad you're feeling better because you seemed a little under the weather yesterday when we were chatting.
Just a little bit.
It's that time of year. Thank
you for joining us. You've been a doll.
You're welcome back anytime. Make sure you stay in touch.
I will. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you, sweetie.
Bye.
She is amazing.
Yes, she's a lot of fun.
She is awesome.
She's a lot of fun. It was so funny because when she was doing that solo investigation,
right?
We were just back and forth. She was telling me what basically what she was experiencing and what she was doing. We were just tossing ideas back around. And I'm like, man, I got to start messing with her now. So I start sending her scary picture. It was funny for all.
Well, guys, happy Valentine's Day. And thank you. Lots of love for joining us. And we will see you in 2 weeks. You got to see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to spam
Caroline is going to be an amazing interview, and you don't want to miss it. So happy Valentine's Day. Stay safe. Pray that this winter ends soon. I'm so sick of this weather. It's driving me crazy.
Amen.
See you in 2 weeks.
Peace.
You've been listening to Step Into the Paranormal with Ernie Atwell and David Seiler. Thank you for listening, and listen in next week for another topic and more great guests right here on WLFE DB Radio Network.